You think winning an argument makes you powerful, but it's actually the moment you destroy your respect. Most people mistake a loud voice for authority, when in reality, if you can't control your pulse, you aren't leading, you're just reacting. You know that heavy, sinking feeling after you've said too much, don't you? That crushing exhaustion of being a puppet to your own temper. It feels like you're building a legacy during the day, only to burn it down with one bad afternoon. This happens because you are unknowingly carrying stone that were never meant for you to hold. Emotional weights that cloud your judgment and drain your energy. But the reason you can't seem to put these stones down is linked to a fundamental misunderstanding of power that we will uncover in just a moment. Today, that cycle ends. Through the ancient parable of Silas and the unstrung bow, you'll uncover a rare mental ritual to reclaim your throne of silence. By the end of this story, you'll know exactly how to stay unmoved by provocation and control every outcome with a single, steady breath. However, before you can master this breath, you must first face the invisible burden that is currently sabotaging your success without you in realizing it. Let's begin. Silas stood in the center of the boardroom, the echoes of his own shouting still bouncing off the glass walls. He had just won the argument, dismantling his partner's logic with surgical, brutal precision. But as the victory was sealed, the room felt heavier than it had 10 minutes. His subordinate wouldn't look him in the eye. The silence that followed wasn't respect, it was a burial. This is the trap of winning through rage. You often find yourself standing all alone on the podium. He could feel his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird, a frantic rhythm mocking his outward success. He thought authority was about having the loudest voice and the sharpest tongue. But leaning against that mahogany desk, Silas realized he didn't feel like a leader. He felt like a man who'd been robbed. This is the invisible burden, the weight of carrying emotional reactions that don't belong to your higher self. You felt that same tightness in your chest, haven't you? That crushing pressure when your pulse dictates your pride. Silas was a master of the boardroom, yet a complete amateur of his own inner world. He was a prisoner of first thoughts. Those jagged, knee-jerk reactions that leap out before wisdom can breathe. Every time he was provoked, he bit the hook, letting others drag him into deep, dark waters. He had become a high-functioning puppet, and the strings were being pulled by anyone who knew how to push his button. But what Silas didn't know, and what you might not realize yet, is that this mental exhaustion isn't from your workload. It's because your inner foundation is made of shifting sand. There is a specific reason why your first thoughts are so violent, a secret about your internal first response system that we are about to uncover. And if you don't fix it, your legacy will eventually burn to the ground. Silas reached the mountain dojo, his lungs burning from air that tasted of ancient pine. He expected a welcome, but Master Kalen was a statue carved from stone. For 3 days, Silas was ignored, his ego screaming, "Don't you know who I am?" He was a man who moved markets, yet he couldn't move this monk to even blink. This is the reality many of us face. We try to solve our internal chaos with external status, only to find that our titles are cheap plastic in the face of true silence. On the 4th morning, Kalen finally spoke, hitting Silas where his pride stood tallest. "You've built a fortress of noise to hide a soul shivering in the cold." To break Silas's pattern of defending the ego, Kalen handed him a ceramic bowl, filled to the brim with water. "Hold this," he commanded, "while I tell you the truth about your failure." As Kalen listed every betrayal and ego-driven mistake Silas had ever made, Silas's muscles began to scream. His first instinct was to bark back, to defend his honor. But to speak was to drop the bowl and admit his anger was stronger than his will. He was forced into the witness breath ritual, imagining the insults as mist passing over a mountain peak that never moves. Silas began to realize that his authority didn't need a shield. He was learning the art of observational silence, a method that allows you to stop being a slave to your temper, but holding a bowl of water is just the beginning. Kalen was about to reveal an ancient weapon, the unstrung bow, which holds a secret about your energy that most people get wrong their entire lives. If you don't understand the vibrating string trap, even the best ritual will fail you. Kalen unwrapped a bow of dark, knotted yew, a piece of the mountain itself. It wasn't a sleek tool, but an anchor for a lesson that words alone could never convey. "String the bow," Kalen commanded, "and you will find the authority that never needs to shout." Silas gripped the silk cord, his face flushing a deep, angry crimson as he poured every ounce of his executive willpower into the task. The wood groaned, mirroring the internal war raging inside Silas's own cluttered mind. He tried to conquer the bow the way he conquered his rival, through sheer force and the heat of his ego. But the more he pushed, the more the bow slipped, the cord snapping back to sting his knuckle, a sharp reminder that he was fighting a weapon that knew no anger. Most of us treat our lives like this unstrung bow. We try to force results while our hearts are racing, not realizing that our irritation is slack energy, a parasitic drain that robs us of our true potential. When you are hot with the need to prove yourself, you aren't a weapon, you are just a vibrating string. Silas was a king with 1,000 arrows but no way to fly them, because he lacked the one thing that made the tool work. He was starting to see the gap between effort and power, but there is a final counterintuitive secret to the bow, a mental ritual of the open palm that changes everything. If you don't learn how to invite the wood to bend, you will spend your whole life snapping strings and wonder why no one follows your lead. The moment Silas finally let go was the moment he discovered the throne. Silas dropped his shoulders and let the air escape his lungs in one long, shaky, defeated sigh. He wasn't giving up on the bow. He was giving up on the version of himself that was obsessed with winning. As the heat in his face cooled, he realized a truth that would change his life. Authority doesn't come from the volume of your voice, but from your ability to remain unmoved by provocation. For the first time, he wasn't trying to be powerful. He was simply trying to be still. He performed the mental ritual of the open palm, letting his fingers relax their grip. This is the rare knowledge you must grasp. The less you try to control, the more control you actually have. Silas reached for the bow again, but this time his hands moved like water. He didn't fight the wood, he invited it to bend. With a quiet click, the loop found its notch. The bow was strung, its potential energy held in a perfect, quiet curve. Master Kalen whispered the secret that tilts the world. Silence is the throne, emotion is the servant. If your feelings lead, you are just a servant wearing a stolen crown. To reclaim your own throne, you must master the stoic pause ritual. The next time you are insulted, don't let the fire reach your tongue. Close your eyes for 10 seconds and visualize yourself stringing that bow with icy focus. This ancestral practice teaches your pulse that it doesn't get to decide who you are. Silas was ready to walk back into the boardroom and win without ever raising his voice. He learned that the battle is won in those 10 seconds before the first word is even spoken. But while this ritual is your emergency brake, there is still a hidden reason why you keep picking up stones that aren't yours in the first place. There is a final layer to this story, a way to ensure you never have to fight this internal war again, and it involves a secret about your unstrung bow that I've saved for the very end. Silas didn't leave the mountain with just a new set of rules. He left with a new soul. He realized that the loudest man in the room is often the weakest, and the one who can hold the most silence is the one who truly commands the space. The world didn't stop trying to provoke him, but he finally stopped giving the world the keys to his peace. Now I have a question for you, and I want you to be brutally honest. What is the unstrung bow in your life right now? Is it a difficult boss, a strained relationship, or that constant nagging need to prove you're right? We all have that slack energy, that emotional noise that keeps us from becoming the powerful weapons of purpose we were meant to be. But there is a reason you haven't been able to string your own bow yet, and it's because you are still holding on to stones that belong to someone else. Many of the stories you hear here aren't just stories. They reflect the invisible weight you may be carrying every day. If you're tired of holding pain, responsibility, and guilt that were never yours, I created a guide to help you do exactly what Silas did. My ebook, The Weight of Stones That Are Not Yours, is the definitive map for those who want to let go, set boundaries, and live with more lightness. When you download it today, you aren't just getting a book, you are receiving 2 critical bonuses to complete your transformation. Learning to let go, the deeper ritual behind Silas's success, and when saying no is an act of self-love, the blueprint for protecting your new throne of silence. Don't let your pulse decide your destiny for another day. Reclaim your throne of silence tonight. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Remember the mantra, silence is the throne, emotion is the servant. Until next time, watch how the situation changes when you refuse to be moved by it.